You feel like an addict, don't you? Chasing a high you can't quite catch. One moment you're soaring, convinced this is the greatest love of all time. The next, you're in a free fall of anxiety, confusion, and self-doubt, wondering what you did wrong. Your life has become a roller coaster of intense highs and devastating lows, and you can't seem to get off the ride. In the next few minutes, you will gain the power of a psychologist, able to see the invisible architecture of your own emotional prison. You will understand the dark psychological games that are being played on you, games that have been designed to keep you hooked, confused, and utterly dependent. And you'll soon know the difference between love and addiction, and how to finally break the cycle of a toxic relationship. You will learn not just how to leave, but how to heal, and how to build a life where you are no longer a hostage to someone else's chaos. We need to have a serious talk, because you are not in a relationship. You are in a psychological experiment, and you are the rat in the cage, pressing a lever, hoping for a reward that comes just often enough to keep you trying, but never often enough to satisfy you. This isn't love. This is a form of conditioning, a powerful and insidious psychological trap known as intermittent reinforcement, and it is the single most powerful force that keeps people trapped in toxic, abusive relationships. Think about a slot machine. You pull the lever, nothing. You pull it again, nothing. Again, nothing. And then, just as you're about to give up, to walk away, you hit a small jackpot, the lights flash, the bells ring, your brain is flooded with dopamine. And what do? You keep pulling the lever. You will stand there for hours, pouring your money into that machine, chasing the memory of that win, enduring hundreds of losses in the hope of just one more high. But the machine is not designed for you to win. It is designed to keep you playing. Therefore, you are not a player in the game. You are the fuel that keeps the game running. Now, look at your relationship. The moments of affection, the flashes of the person you fell in love with, the apologies, the promises to change. These are not signs of progress. These are the jackpots. They are the intermittent rewards strategically and often unconsciously deployed to keep you hooked. They are just enough to make you forget the long stretches of neglect, of criticism, of cruelty. They are just enough to make you think, maybe this time it will be different. They are just enough to keep you pulling the lever. This is not an accident. It is a pattern, a devastatingly effective pattern of control. The person you are with has learned, either consciously or unconsciously, that they don't need to be consistently good to you to keep you. In fact, it's the inconsistency that makes them so addictive. If they were always terrible, you would leave. If they were always wonderful, you wouldn't feel this desperate, anxious attachment. But because you never know when the next win is coming, you live in a constant state of hope and anxiety. Therefore, your nervous system is hijacked. You are not in a state of love. You are in a state of addiction. And this is why leaving feels so impossible. It's not just the end of a relationship. It's the end of the hope. It's the end of the possibility that one day you will hit the grand jackpot and everything will be perfect. It's walking away from the slot machine, knowing that you have poured your time, your energy, your very soul into it, and you are leaving with nothing. And accepting that, truly accepting that, is one of the most painful and necessary acts of your life. Because as long as you keep playing this game, your identity will dissolve. You will lose sight of what you deserve. You will start to doubt yourself. You will be slowly conditioned to accept less, to expect less, to be less. And the worst part, the person you are with will make you believe that it is all your fault. If you have ever found yourself in a relationship asking, am I going crazy? Am I the problem? Am I exaggerating? Then you have already felt the poison of psychological manipulation seeping into your soul. And among all the dark arts of manipulation, none is more devastating, more soul-crushing than gaslighting. Gaslighting is not just lying. It is a systematic campaign to distort reality to such an extent that you begin to doubt your own feelings, your own memories, and your own sanity. It is the psychological equivalent of someone punching you in the face and then telling you that you imagined it. It is an act of psychological warfare, and its goal is to destroy your perception of reality so that the manipulator can replace it with their own. Here's how it works. You notice something is wrong. A lie, a contradiction, a broken promise. You confront them, but instead of taking responsibility, they flip the script. They will tell you that you are too sensitive, that you are misunderstanding, that you are making things up. They will say, with a look of utter sincerity, that never happened. You're imagining things. And they will say it with such conviction that you will start to believe them. Therefore, you will start to question yourself. You will replay conversations in your head, trying to piece together the truth. But the truth has become a slippery, elusive thing. The more you doubt your own perception, the more dependent you become on them to define what is real. You have been demoted from the author of your own life to a confused character in theirs. And gaslighting rarely comes alone. It is often paired with its evil twin, projection. Projection is when the manipulator takes all of their own toxic behaviors, their own flaws, their own darkness, and projects it onto you. If they are lying, they will accuse you of being dishonest. If they are cheating, they will accuse you of being unfaithful. If they are the ones who are emotionally unstable, they will call you crazy. It is a psychological magic trick. They are literally making you carry the burden of their own shadow. And the cruelest part is that the victim, who is often a deeply empathetic and self-aware person, will start to believe it. You will start to think, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I am the one who needs to change. You will take on a guilt that is not yours to carry, and you will exhaust yourself trying to fix a problem that you did not create. The goal of all of this is not just to avoid responsibility. It is to put you in a state of constant confusion and emotional exhaustion. Because when you are exhausted, you are easy to control. When your self-esteem has been shattered, you will accept any crumb of affection as a feast. When your perception of reality has been warped, you will stop trusting yourself and you will start trusting your abuser blindly. And this leads us to the deepest, most painful question of all. If it's so bad, why do you stay? Why is the fear of leaving still so much greater than the pain of staying? The answer lies in the two great illusions that keep the cage door locked from the inside. The fear of loneliness and the fantasy of change. Have you ever found yourself thinking, but what if I never find anyone else? Or, what if no one else will ever love me? Have you ever caught yourself believing that if you just try a little harder, if you're just a little more patient, a little more understanding, a little more perfect, then maybe, just maybe they will change and this relationship will finally work? If you have, then you have been held captive by the two most powerful chains in the arsenal of toxic relationships: the fear of loneliness and the illusion of change. Let's talk about the fear of loneliness. It is not a trivial fear. It is a deep, primal, and existential terror. Since we were children, we have been taught that being alone is a failure, a punishment, a sign that something is wrong with us. Society reinforces this at every turn. Movies, songs, social media, they all scream the same message. Your ultimate purpose is to be loved by another person. Being single is not a choice. It is a problem to be solved. Now, combine that deep-seated cultural fear with a relationship that has systematically dismantled your self-esteem. A relationship where you have been conditioned to believe that you are difficult, that you are flawed, that no one else would ever put up with you. The result? You convince yourself that leaving is not an option, that it is better to endure the familiar hell you know than to risk the terrifying, unknown emptiness of being alone. But what if I told you that what you are feeling is not a fear of loneliness? What if what you are actually feeling is a fear of your own company? Therefore, you are not afraid of being alone. You are afraid of being with the person you have become in this relationship, a person who has been taught to hate themselves. And then there is the second chain, the illusion of change. This is the hope that kills. It is the belief that your love, your patience, your suffering can somehow transform the other person. You see flashes of their potential, the person they could be, the person they were in the beginning, and you cling to that potential like a drowning person clings to a piece of driftwood. You tell yourself that the abuse, the neglect, the cruelty, that's not the real them. The real them is the one who shows up for a few hours or a few days after a particularly bad fight. But you are not in a relationship with their potential. You are in a relationship with their reality. And their reality is the consistent pattern of their behavior, not the intermittent flashes of their apology. Therefore, you are not waiting for them to change. You are waiting for a fantasy to come true. And you are sacrificing your real life, your real happiness, and your real self at the altar of that fantasy. Breaking free from a toxic relationship is not just about leaving. It is about grieving. It is about grieving the person you thought they were. It is about grieving the future you thought you would have. And most painfully of all, it is about grieving the person you became in order to survive in that relationship. It is a death. But it is a death that is necessary for your rebirth. Because on the other side of that fear, on the other side of that grief, is not emptiness, it is freedom. It is the freedom to rediscover who you are. The freedom to build a life that is not based on fear, but on your own values, your own desires, and your own unapologetic self-worth. It is the freedom to be alone, and to realize that you are not lonely. You are just finally with yourself. So, how do you do it? How do you actually walk out of the cage when the door has been open all along? It's not a single act of courage. It is a process of reclaiming your mind, your reality, and yourself. It is a process of becoming your own liberator, and it starts with a few crucial steps. Step 1. Become a detective of your own reality. You have been taught to doubt your own perception. Now, you must learn to trust it again. You need to become a meticulous, objective observer of your own life. Get a journal, a secret one, and start writing things down. Not your feelings, not your interpretations, but the facts. What was said, what was done, the broken promises, the contradictions, the gaslighting phrases. You are not doing this to build a case against them. You are doing this to build a case for yourself. You are creating an external record of your reality, a source of truth that cannot be distorted or denied. when you feel yourself starting to doubt, when you hear that voice in your head saying, maybe I am crazy, you will open that journal and you will see the truth written in your own hand. You are taking back the power to define your own reality. Step 2, cut off the dopamine supply. You are an addict, and you need to start treating this like an addiction. You need to cut off the supply of the drug. This means you have to stop engaging in the cycle. When they start an argument, you do not engage. You walk away. You say, I am not having this conversation right now. When they give you that flash of affection after a period of cruelty, you do not melt. You observe it. You see it for what it is, a strategic move to keep you hooked. You say to yourself, this is the jackpot. This is the lever, and I am not pulling it anymore. This will be incredibly difficult. Your brain will scream for the hit. But every time you resist, you are rewiring your own neurology. You are weakening the addiction. You are taking back your own mind. Step 3, build your escape team. You cannot do this alone. The manipulator has isolated you. They have made you believe that they are the only person in the world who truly understands you. This is a lie. You need to start slowly and secretly building a support system outside of the relationship. Reconnect with old friends. Talk to a family member you trust. Find a therapist. Join a support group. You need to start surrounding yourself with people who see your value, who reflect your sanity back to you, and who will be there to catch you when you finally make the leap. These people are your lifeline. They are your bridge back to the real world. Step 4, plan your exit. Leaving a toxic relationship is not a spontaneous act. It is a strategic operation. You need to plan it like a military extraction. Get your finances in order. Find a safe place to go. Pack a bag with your essential documents and belongings. You need to have a clear, actionable plan. Because when the moment comes, when you have that window of clarity and courage, you need to be able to move quickly and decisively. You are not just leaving a relationship. You are escaping a hostage situation. And finally, step 5, embrace the void. This is the hardest part. After you leave, there will be a void, a huge, terrifying, gaping void where the chaos, the drama, and the addiction used to be. You will be tempted to fill that void with another relationship, another distraction, another addiction. You must resist this urge. You must be willing to sit in the emptiness, to feel the loneliness, to grieve the loss, because that void is not empty. It is sacred space. It is the space where you get to meet yourself again. It is the space where you get to rediscover what you like, what you want, what you believe. It is the space where you get to rebuild your own identity, not as a reaction to someone else, but from the ground up, on your own terms. That void is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the fertile ground from which your new life will grow. This is not a journey for the faint of heart. It will be the hardest thing you have ever done. But on the other side of this pain, on the other side of this fear, is a version of you that you have not yet met. A version of you that is strong, that is whole, that is free. A version of you that knows their own worth, that trusts their own perception, and that will never, ever again hand the keys to their own mind over to anyone else. And that version of you is waiting for you to be brave enough to walk out of the cage, waiting for you to come home. Let's go deeper into the mind of the manipulator, and more importantly, into the mind of the person who is susceptible to them. Because this isn't just about bad people doing bad things. It's about a lock and a key. The manipulator has the key, but you, my friend, you have the lock. And until you understand the design of your own lock, you will keep finding yourself in the same prison, just with a different jailer. The lock is what psychologists call your attachment style. Developed in the first few years of your life, your attachment style is your internal working model for how relationships are supposed to work. It's the blueprint. And for many of us who find ourselves in toxic relationships, that blueprint is drawn on a foundation of anxiety and avoidance. If you had a parent who was inconsistent, sometimes warm and loving, sometimes cold and distant, you may have developed an anxious attachment style. You learned from a very young age that love is unpredictable and that you have to work, to perform, to be good, to earn it. As an adult, you are drawn to the same dynamic. The emotional roller coaster of a toxic relationship feels like home to you. The anxiety, the chasing, the desperate need for reassurance, that is your definition of love. A stable, secure, and predictable love feels boring to you. It doesn't have that spark, but that spark you're chasing is not passion. It is the friction of your own unresolved trauma. Or perhaps you had a parent who was neglectful or dismissive. You learned that your needs don't matter, that vulnerability is dangerous, and that you are fundamentally on your own. You may have developed an avoidant attachment style. You crave intimacy, but you are also terrified of it. You keep people at a distance. You sabotage relationships when they get too close. And you are a perfect target for a manipulator because you are already convinced that you are unlovable. Their neglect feels normal to you. Their criticism confirms your deepest fears about yourself. You are a lock, just waiting for their key. Understanding your attachment style is not about blaming your parents. It is about understanding your programming. It is about seeing the invisible software that is running your relational life. Because you cannot change a program that you do not know exists. But once you see it, once you understand that your attraction to chaos is not a personal failing, but a learned pattern, you can begin to consciously and deliberately rewrite the code. You can start to choose security over intensity. You can start to teach your nervous system that calm does not mean boring, and that peace is not the absence of passion, but the presence of safety. And how do you do that? You do it by becoming the secure attachment figure that you never had. You learn to give yourself the consistent love, the unwavering support, and the unconditional acceptance that you have been desperately seeking from others. You learn to sit with your own anxiety, to soothe your own fears, to validate your own feelings. You become your own safe harbor. This is the deep, transformative work of healing. It is the work of reparenting yourself. And it is the work that will finally and forever change the shape of your own lock. It is the work that will make you immune to the keys of the manipulators. Because you will no longer be looking for someone to complete you. You will already be whole. This is the ultimate act of rebellion. It is the act of taking your own psychological and emotional development into your own hands. It is the act of refusing to be a product of your past and choosing to be the architect of your future. It is the act of declaring that you are worthy of a love that does not require you to be a smaller, sadder, more anxious version of yourself. A love that does not feel like a battlefield. A love that feels like coming home. And that home, my friend, is not a person. It is you.